Hey y'all, it is Crafty Hope here, and I was lucky enough to snag up one of the You, Me, Same 3 packs for February. I got it at the beginning of January, I think, and so I've had it for a while. These 3 items, which include some kind of like prescription card, a piece of craft paper, a strip of craft paper that looks like a ruler, and on the back has a great little quote, which is what I'm going to use for my sentiment in this, and then one of those milk cap discs. I don't know what you call those, but they come in the top of like old milk bottles, I think. So Michelle sent those out. This challenge is part of the You Me Same 3 thing from Tiffany of Southern Gals Designs and Michelle of Michelnay. They've been doing these exchanges for a few years now, and this year opened them up 10 spots to people who could grab packets from their Etsy shop. And I have been lucky enough, I got January's and February's. I did not get March's, so I won't be participating next month, but this one should make up for that. It is plenty long enough. I think there are a couple other people participating. My friend Nina is also going to be participating, and I will have links to anybody I know, definitely Tiffany, Michelle, and Nina's links below, so you could hop and see what they did with these same 3 items. Now, I started by taking that, I'm calling it a prescription card. Michelle will probably have information about what it actually is over on her video. And I took some coffee crystals and just kind of dyed it to give it kind of an aged feel, and then I'm sealing it with a little bit of clear gesso because I knew some of the other steps I was going to make might reactivate that coffee, and I wanted to just kind of seal it, so I did that with some clear gesso. Alright, now I'm going in with my main thing, which is some collage. Now I'm going to go ahead and tell y'all that the 3 items I got, like I said, I've had them for a month and a half, something like that, and I've been thinking on it, and I'll tell you that as soon as I opened the packet and saw that little milk disc thing, I immediately thought of the moon, and I was like, oh Hope, that's crazy, that's not a moon, how would you ever do that? And that thought wouldn't leave my head, so I finally just was like, fine, go for it, make it a moon, and the rest of it just kind of fell together. And I'll go ahead and tell you that having items like this in advance makes me plan what I'm going to do a little bit more than when I do my intuitive kind of art journaling. So it's not something I usually do. I don't usually start with 3 items for my mixed media, or several items in particular, but when that does happen, I end up having something that's a little more planned out, and this definitely was. I even took the day before I filmed this to experiment with how I wanted to do some of the techniques that I'm going to do, and I decided that I was going to use this square Dilutions journal. It is brand new. I have been saving it for something special, and I guess this is going to be my special thing. So you can see I took that first page there and I covered it with just a bunch of ephemera, just some paper bits, and using my Uhu glue stick to get it down. And then I have this, it's a metallic-y pearl light blue paint from Arteza. My niece was kind enough to gift me with a whole 8-pack of Arteza's metallic paints for Christmas, and I haven't really done much with them, so hey, breaking those out too. And I'm just covering the page here, you see. What else did I want to tell you about this? I can't remember. I've told you what the You Me Same 3 project is and who I know are participating, and you get to see me put these projects down. Oh, I will link to any of the materials that I can and give you the actual names of them below, because when I do these voiceovers, I can't always remember exactly what the name is unless I have it right in front of me, so I am sorry about that. Alright, now I've pulled out this star stencil. I think it's a Dilutions stencil, and some gold paint. That is just some gold paint I picked up on clearance at Michael's a couple days ago. Y'all, it's been sitting on my desk for a couple days, and in that little jar when I walk in my craft room and see it on my desk, I keep thinking it's peanut butter sitting there. I'm like, why do I have a jar of peanut butter on my desk? And no, it's gold paint that I've been just hadn't found a place for it yet. But yeah, something about the color of it and the shape of that jar, I totally was like, huh. But now I kind of want peanut butter on my desk because, yeah, that'd be a nice snack. I am using a cosmetic sponge. I am fairly thrifty, so if I can get supplies from places like the dollar store, then I do that. So these cosmetic wedges I use often, and once you use the tip of one, you can just cut it down. Seriously, I cut the tip off and use it down to a little bitty nub. That's how thrifty I am. So I am doing a scattering of stars. I didn't want them to like fill the page. I just wanted them scattered around on the page. And next comes the thing that I spent all day the day before experimenting with, which is using this clear crackle paste. I wanted some crackle on there, but I wanted it to be blue. And so I tried adding that acrylic paint in it and some other acrylic paints, and I guess the combination of it took the crackle factor out because it would never crackle. So I finally came up with this plan, which is to spread it down clear on top of the blue paint, and I'm using just like a silicone spatula type thing, and that seemed to work best. I tried other tools. I seriously experimented for a while. Like I said, I planned these out. And I've put that crackle aside to dry. Now, I'm going to go ahead and tell you, anytime you use a crackle paste, it's always going to do better if you just let it air dry naturally and not use a heat gun. Because if you use a heat gun, it speeds it up and it just doesn't do as well. So I put that aside to dry, and I am working, like I said, I had a plan for this, so I'm working in stages with all of this. While one thing is drying, I've moved to the next, and that seemed to really work for me. So I've gone back to that prescription card, and I've got this picture of a French actress that I got from the Graphics Fairy website. I love that site, y'all. They do have a premium membership for some things, but this was just part of their free blog thing for the week. So I printed that out. I did flip it. I took it into Photoshop and flipped it so she'd be facing the direction I wanted her to face. And I'm going to do an image transfer with her. So I printed her out on my laser printer and put a little bit of matte gel medium on her, and then have put that on that prescription card, and I'm putting her aside to dry because you want that gel medium to be good and dry in order for that image transfer technique to work. Now, one of the things I saw when I planned this out, in addition to that little disc being the moon, I wanted to rim it with gold. So I thought some gold leaf would be fun. I put my Ohu glue stick on the edges, and I'm brushing off the excess of the gold foil. And this, I'm going to tell you, one of the steps later I take, I'm going to glue this disc to some fabric and then take it to my sewing machine in the wall to put some rings around it, and in the going to the sewing machine portion of that, wiped off all of my gold leaf. So I'll end up putting more on, but using some Mod Podge instead, which still didn't work great. I do recommend, they make a medium for that gold leaf, and I probably have some here. I just was using what was in arm's reach. So I have glued that disc down to a piece of just fabric from an old tablecloth or something, and I am cutting around it. The one thing I really hate is I lose all that beautiful fraying. I tried to get it to fray later, and it didn't do. When you cut it in the round, it doesn't have those same edges. So it's okay. It works out fine. Alright, so I've got my image transfer there, and I've taken just a little bit of warm water. I don't think it matters if the water's warm, but that's just a me thing. And I have wet the back of that, and I am using my finger. Basically, you're just peeling off the paper and trying to leave the inked image on the paper you've applied that to. That's all the image transfer is. You kind of have to do it in steps. Peel off the bulk of the paper, dry it a little bit, and you'll see it come up. It's another white film that comes up. That's the final layer of paper, and come back in and peel it off. Now, I'm not getting all of the paper because I knew I was going to cut out her silhouette, so I'm not super concerned with getting the stuff all the way around the edges. And see there, I'm drying her, making sure I get those last little bits. And that's my image transfer, y'all. It worked out beautifully. All right, now we're gonna have some fun. I've got some Payne's Gray acrylic paint that I am watering down just a little bit, and I'm going to work over my page. Basically, I want to get that Payne's Gray into that crackle because my crackle has dried, and I want to see that crackle show up. So I'm using a baby wipe. I'm basically making a glaze with that watered down acrylic ink. Why do I keep saying ink? It's not ink, it's paint. Ink probably would work too, but I don't have any Payne's Gray ink. I haven't been able to find any yet. One day I'll have some. But for now, I am just watering down the acrylic paint. And like I said, I let it kind of get into the crackle, and then I dried it really good. And then I'm coming back and spreading it. I'm not watering it down quite as much because I'm spreading it across the top, and I'm going to spray and let that paint get into some of those nooks and crannies of the stencil and kind of help the stencil shape itself show up. This was the main thing I really played with the other day when I experimented, because I wanted to see, I wanted the texture really, not just the crackle, but of the stencil to kind of pop around that clear crackle, because it is clear, so I wanted to give it some definition. And this is how I'm doing it. And then I'm gonna dry the whole thing. And I've put it aside to finish drying, and we're coming back to my image transfer lady. So I'm going to basically just fussy cut her out as best as I can. I'm not great with the fussy cutting, and I think she is probably my biggest fail in this. I'm going to fiddle with her way more than really needs to be when it comes down to it in this page, but we're getting there. So I'm taking her, and I've got some rust dyed fabric that I'm going to bring in and make her a dress, kind of. This is where things get crazy. You see me trying to bunch it there and trying to figure out how to make it look as natural as possible. So I'm going to take her and my little moon circle over to my sewing machine and stitch around them. You see I'm trying to fray out that. It didn't work. So I've stitched her little dress on and stitched around my moon somewhat, and I'm coming back in here now with that Mod Podge, and I'm putting it on. I should have probably waited, another minute and let that get a little more tacky and less wet, but it's okay. I'm putting down my gold leaf, and I'm going to put it aside to get to dry a little bit better. Let that Mod Podge dry a little bit before I try to brush off the excess. And I'm coming back to my page, and I've got some Nuvo Mica Mist, and that's an antique gold, and I spritzed it a little, and then I took the nozzle part out and just splashed it onto the page. This is to give, the gold stars are there in the background, but I wanted some kind of gold on top of the page as well. And I'm going to turn my little girl, my French actress, into a fairy by using some, I think they're called transparent wings from Tim Holtz. I just got them, and so this is the first time I'm using them. Super excited about them, and so I picked out two. I didn't let y'all see my agonizing process of going through all of those brand new wings to find two matching ones, but I picked out two that look like dragonfly wings. And I'm getting her shape into, something just a little more pleasing. She didn't feel natural, the shape of her, so I bent her sides in a little bit to make it feel a little more natural. And because those transparent wings are like an acetate, I didn't think that they would stick with a Mod Podge or a glue stick or a matte gel, so I'm going to use some E6000. I could have also used a hot glue gun, but I didn't feel like pulling that thing out and trying to get it heated up. And you see I brushed off my excess gold leaf. Yeah, like I said, this was very much planned and in stages and bursts, and yeah. So now that she has those edges that I turned down are getting a little bit drier, I'm gonna trim her skirt to fit on the page a little bit better and stick her, I think I'm gonna stick her wings on here a second. Now I'm gonna go ahead and fiddle with that third item for the Yumi Same 3. And that's that craft paper ruler. Like I said, on the back of it, it had a sentiment that says something like, life is not measured in the breaths you take, but the moments that take your breath away, which is a sentiment I've heard many times, and it's lovely. And as soon as I saw that on the back side of that ruler, I was like, well, that's what I'm going to use in this page. So I am tearing away the excess around. I don't like the sharp edges that were on it. It felt too geometric for everything else that was going on here, and I wanted a little more floaty feeling. So I tore those edges, and I lost one of my wings and had to re-find it. So I'm going to go ahead and stick her wings on with that E6000. And then once they're on, I'm going to stick her and the moon and my sentiment and everything down with a little bit of matte gel medium. Because these are all very, well, the sentiment isn't, but they're all very heavy things. And so the matte gel is kind of a better medium for getting all of that down than like a glue stick would be. So I'm going to get all of those down, and then I'm going to take, I think I'm going to take my Stabilo all pencil. I think that's what I'm going to do. And go around her to give her a little bit of shadow. I know at some point I do that. But I'm also going to take a stencil. It's, I think, a Heidi Swap stencil. It looks like confetti, but it's got stars on it. And some more gold paint. And try to integrate my sentiment to make it feel more part of the page and have some stars on it. But these are much smaller ones than I put in the background. So I'm getting ahead of myself. Now, I hope y'all enjoy this collaboration, and go check out Tiffany and Michelle and Nina's pages. That, like I said, their videos. Like I said, I'll have those linked below. This has been such a fun collaboration. I really enjoyed last month's. Kind of hate that I'm not doing next month's, but I kind of decided that since I did get to do these first 2 months, I would let somebody else have a chance to get in on it and not hog all of it and be selfish. So but we'll see. I might do April's if I can get in there, because those packets on their Etsy shop sell out super quick. I mean, Tiffany and Michelle have such great followings, and they do such beautiful work. So they've got a lot of people that want to play along with them. Alright, so I'm getting that shadow on there, and then, like I said, I'm going to put a little more star stencil down, especially around my sentiment there. But do y'all see my fairy? She looks like she's topless. She does have a top in the picture that I transferred, but I went and actually took pictures of this and thought I was completely done with this video and everything, and then in editing those pictures, I was like, this isn't done. I've got to do something. So I'm going to come back in with that same gold paint that I'm using right now and basically paint her in a gold top to make her feel a little finished and less naked, because my little moon fairy doesn't, I don't know, she could be that kind of fairy, but I didn't feel that she was. It didn't, I don't know. Like I said, she's got a top on. It's just blended into that background in the image transfer process. So once I get her top painted on in a minute, I will be all done with this page. I appreciate you sticking with me through this whole very long planned out process. I promise that most of my other videos are much more intuitive and quick and less painstaking. So I do hope you will check out some of my other videos and let me know what you think of this, if you have any suggestions of ways that this could have gone a little bit quicker, or any questions that you have. Alright guys, I really appreciate you coming and watching this, and keep on crafting on. Thanks for watching. Bye.